The CBT sequence. This is a summary of my notes from CBT in Action, A Practitioner's Toolkit, Chapter 6. 4 disputing styles, according to Didactic in 1991. The first disputing style is the didactic approach, the didactic challenge, where the client takes more of a teacher's role and tells the client what negative thoughts they have, what negative thoughts are present, and the resulting negative emotional consequences. Afterwards, they point towards more positive, constructive thoughts to replace the negative thoughts. There's the Socratic challenge, where it is a process of asking questions to explore cognitions and thoughts, and individuals appear to be on board in this cognitive restructuring process. There's also metaphor, where the therapist discusses with the client about meaning and relevance in the situation, helping to put things into context within the grand scheme of things. And then there's also humor, which helps to enhance the restricting and also helps to instill the constructive thought into patients' heads. Empirical disputation is another way to help explore the belief, and it is where evidence for a claim is inquired, and as a result can be used to test the belief in whether the belief is a fact or an assumption. Evidence needs facts, not just assumptions. There are ways we could bring about this disputation. They include direct empirical disputing, which is directly stating, where is the evidence for this belief or so-and-so? There is weighing up the evidence, where you quite literally create an evidence balance sheet, like a cost-benefit analysis, a table, if you will, detailing for and against the beliefs. And at the end, asking which side is more supported. There is calculating the evidence by using numerical evidence like statistics or probability to be able to support or disprove a belief, especially when talking about probability, as stated before. There's setting up experiments to collect evidence, which is used to teach clients to look at their own behaviors and assumptions, to ask them to collect data to see if their conclusions are accurate. There is inductive questioning, which helps to draw out evidence to verify the assumptions of an individual in a logical dilemma, aka inquiring if clients use evidence to support their assumptions. There is operationalizing a negative construct, which is to use language to define what the client means by using a particular word. So maybe the individual could, for example, say, I feel depressed when I'm in a certain situation. Then operationalizing this construct could be, when you feel depressed, do you mean that, you suddenly have a lack of interest when in this certain situation? And then they could say, yes, that's exactly right. So it helps to show how this negative construct is then applied to individuals in real life. Another way to explore beliefs is through logical disputations, which is usually showing how the logic of unhelpful beliefs do not stand up to reevaluation. They include demands or rules that may not be in sync with reality. There is also the reevaluating of demands and rules, which are trying to help clients shift from absolute demands of musts, should, and oughts to a preference. It is important to realize that absolute demands are not the same as conditional demands. So saying if I am unable to find a job, for example, then that means that I must be unlovable or something like that. These kinds of demands must be distinguished. So absolute demands, not the same as conditional ones, where the latter was an example of a conditional demand. So moving along, direct challenge is to ask, why should it be that way? Where is it written? There's also the fact of life dispute, where the intention is to build acceptance by comparing idiosyncratic demands with the facts. If the client fights against the facts of life, of course this would logically lead to more pain, more difficulty as a result. There are guided discovery, which helps clients explore situations and understand the propositions, the rules that guide others, the self, and processes. A logical dilemma is used to help bring about a cognitive shift. There is running true to form, which encourages patients to accept a person or situation as it is. So, for example, you could ask, can you expect others to change, especially when they are true to their form? And then finally, there is exploring the challenging evaluations of core beliefs, which is a philosophical discussion to explore deep-seated beliefs that they come to hold. For example, people who think they are worthless think that they have not really thought about what exactly is worthwhile in the first place, as in what is of value. They don't know what is of value. They just have this implicit belief, and thus to explore and challenge this belief, you would then use all of the things that I've stated prior. So like, where is it written, or what is of value? So that's a more philosophical approach. And there's also Pragmatic Disputations, which is to look at how the belief is helping the person. If it's getting in the way of something, then it probably is not useful. And if the individual was asked to see their situation from a best friend's point of view, or if their best friend was in that situation, how would they tell them? Would the patient tell their best friend that they are no good or hopeless or useless? Of course not. So it's putting things into context as well as being useful, pragmatic. Step 8 is to develop more effective beliefs. This includes producing a constructive statement together with the client therapist. Socratic questioning may be needed to make cognitive shifts, and you can use the subjective units of the stress scale afterwards to compare if it is effective or different from the original, different from before. So for example, you could ask, given the discussion we had, what do you think would be a more helpful way that you could think about the situation? If your friend was in the same situation, what would you say to them to help them? You have thought the worst that could happen. Now what's the best or most realistic? You could also use reattribution, which is helpful when drawing out alternative constructive beliefs. This helps clients explore alternative explanations that are not as distressing, so that are not catastrophizing or the worst thing possible. Finally, you set homework, which is designed to put new learning into practice and help consolidate new beliefs. The term homework, however, shouldn't be used in all situations, in every therapy session, in therapy sessions with certain clients, because homework could have negative connotations for those who didn't do well in school or who really struggled with it. So it's kind of important to take things on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, this homework is just a way to review what was learned. The homework is collaboratively set with both client and therapist, and there are actually very different types of homework. These include written homework, carrying out a survey or some form of research, reading positive coping statements, behavioral tasks such as behavioral experiments to confirm or disconfirm beliefs, systematic sensitization, which is exposure to the discomfort via a gradual hierarchical step, activity scheduling, and lifestyle management. There's also bibliotherapy, which is journaling, and there's also listening to records of the session, working on recording sheets, using digital materials such as CDs, DVDs, or web-based programs, observing and teaching others through imagery, tablets, and smartphones, etc. Lazarus, in 1981, proposed the Multi-Modal Therapy, where there's a need to look for congruence between feelings, behaviors, and sensations, such as, for example, anxiety is associated with avoidance and symptoms of muscle tension, nausea, lightheadedness, etc. Evaluations of emotional consequences can help therapists ascertain what is helpful and not helpful, since not all emotions require therapy. It is only required for when things are too excessive. A lack of congruence indicates that more is happening than what is expressed, or the clients are not accurate in their expressions of emotional labels. So yeah, those are the steps of cognitive behavioral therapy. But at the heart of it, it is finding out the event, which is A, looking at the beliefs and thoughts that interpret the event, that's B, and then the C is the consequences. It could be feelings that you feel as a result of it, or the behaviors, or bad consequences, bad actions that come about as a result of this negative thought. But the premise is the thought or belief that mediates between the situation and the outcome. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thank you very much. Bye.